Hey guys, welcome back. It's Ashley Nicole with Passion, Purpose, and Paychecks. And today we have with us Jessica Milagros, who is a plus-size model and social media influencer. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited about this conversation because we've spoken previously, and guys, Jessica is just a powerhouse personality, and she's here to tell us how following her dreams has truly changed her life and for the better. So, Jessica, what did you do before becoming a plus-size model?
Before I was a plus-size model, I was a senior account manager at a marketing firm.
Okay, and we spoke a little bit earlier, and I think you told me you were months away from becoming a director, is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
So how do you go from being a marketing consultant or account manager in marketing, close to getting a promotion as the director, to jumping into plus-size modeling? How does that happen?
Gosh, it happens by the grace of God, I say. But ultimately, I think it was very organic.
Okay.
I happened to stumble upon plus-size modeling when we acquired Lane Bryant as a client. So I worked at a marketing agency that dealt primarily with promotional marketing, integrated marketing. So we were trying to help them understand or actually promote their first like curvy girl fashion show, and this was, you know, right before the big plus size boom. You know,
and I mean, I could imagine this is kind of like every curvy girl's dream, right?
Well,
for a brand.
Really? Yeah, I at that time I was a little bit thinner. I was right in between being kind of a plus size girl and a regular girl, you know.
So was it like 12 or?
Yeah, I was
okay.
about 12, 14, you know, I could fit into some larges. I would go into some extra larges, and I wasn't really shopping at all of the places.
So were you not at an acceptance level? Because I remember when I was a size 12 feeling, and I mean, I was a 16, now I'm down to a 14. Who knows where I will be, you know, in the future, but I recall going into Macy's and having to always go to the back of the rack.
Yeah.
And feeling like, oh crap, there is only one more size I can wear in these traditional stores.
Yeah.
And I had to figure out, well, am I plus size? Because I would tell people, I'm like, I think I'm plus size, and they'd say, no, you're not plus size. And I'm like, no, it's not a bad thing. It's just a factual thing. Like, I literally have to shop at stores that sell larger sizes.
Exactly.
When did you realize that you were plus sized, and then how did you get to that acceptance level so that you could model?
I think it was when I was working and pitching to Lane Bryant about, you know, about this fashion show, because I was one of the only plus-size women who was working in the firm. So it was kind of like going into I put my marketer hat on, I started researching, and then I started seeing a lot of women. There was this whole plus-size community, and I started seeing all of these women talk about a lot of the issues that I was having, you know, about not being able to get the right fit, and not being able, you know, kind of teeter-tottering, being in between. And then I started seeing the models, and then I noticed, oh my gosh, these models look like me.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, ooh.
Which I imagine is a comfortable realization that there are other women that are beautiful and fashionable.
Exactly.
Because so often, my biggest fear about leaning into this plus-sized nature was not having clothes that looked good and not being able to feel confident and comfortable.
Definitely.
Which is why I like Lane Bryant as a brand. I think they're a great brand. I love Eloquii, another brand that I, you know, heavily support. But I think that it's just important to feel confident and comfortable in your own skin. So how do you go from managing a Lane Bryant account as a marketer to leaving your full-time job to go into plus-size modeling and becoming a social media influencer?
Well, I had done so much, like I said before, I had done so much research. By that time, I kind of started to get that little bug in my ear saying like, maybe you should do this. And then the universe just responded, and then multiple people would say, you know what, you should really model. You have a really pretty face. Oh, Jessica, you're so photogenic. You should really think about modeling. And like, people were just coming at me left and right, just giving me those kind of like words of affirmation. And I'm like, and at that time, my then boyfriend, which is my husband now, but he was very, very supportive.
Really?
He was just like, do it, babe. You can do this.
And that changes everything. When your husband is just like, be you, I'll support you. I know My husband is amazingly supportive, so I know how much that can push you to the forefront. But I'm sure we have some viewers that are like, I wish I had that. I don't have any words of affirmation. No one's telling me I should be a model, but there's something in me that tells me I should be a model, and I don't have a husband that's supportive or a boyfriend that is encouraging me. What would you say to that woman? If she thinks she should be a model, she's done some research and realizes there's a market for this, but she doesn't have the encouragement. What would you tell her?
I would say be your own motivational speaker.
I love that.
I don't think that anybody was constantly telling me, Jessica, you should model, Jessica, you should model, Jessica, you should model. But I did hear after the third time, it kind of instilled that little bug, and then I did it all myself. You know, right about now, you're able to listen to, you know, motivational speakers, you have podcasts, you have all of these great quotes and things that can move you forward. And I think it's really important for, not just for a plus size woman, but for a woman in general.
I agree.
To be able to just say those words aloud and say, you know, you are good at this, you will be good at this, you will be successful. And if you have that passion, that drive, it will take you so far. You know, and that's exactly what I did. I mean, I put in just as much of that passion into my modeling as I did with my marketing. And I did my research, and I just literally put one foot in front of the other. And I never really thought or put that thought in my head about what happens if you fail. Failure was not an option to me.
And you know what it is? Fear is the biggest inhibitor to success.
Definitely.
And I think I read a book by Sheryl Sandberg, and it talked about, it was Lean In. Everyone knows Lean In. And I can't say that I loved, like, everything in that book does not resonate with me personally, but there was a part in the book that she says, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And I took that, and every situation and every job opportunity and every big decision I have to make in my life, I think, what would I do if fear were not in existence? And I do that, because if you can operate absent fear, not even absent fear, if you can operate in spite of fear, you can live the life that you dreamed of. But if you can't, you will never live the life of your dreams.
I don't believe in being fearless. I believe
Exactly.
fear exists.
Acting in spite of your fears.
Exactly. You need to understand that the fear is there. You put them, you know, have them ride shotgun.
But move anyways.
Don't let them drive the car.
I like
You know,
that.
It's, you just keep on going, and that's, I mean, like I said, we would go, my husband and I would go into stores, and he would say, babe, I'm going to see you there, you know, in the store. And
okay, your husband is just, he needs to be, why isn't your husband here for this interview? This is good.
I know, he's
Husbands that are watching, encourage your wives. I mean, wives encourage your husbands too, obviously. But I love that he is supporting you, because my beauty standards at this point, since I'm married, they don't come from other, like, they literally come from, like, my husband. Like, I feel most beautiful when he's like, babe, that looks amazing. Yes. That looks great. You look good. You are so fine. You are so sexy. I don't need that from other people. I mean, I'm married, obviously, but it feels great when someone that you love and someone you decided to spend the rest of your life with can support you in that way.
Like, again, those words of affirmation, they will take you from, you know, one level to another. And we did a lot of, you know, mood inspirational boards and whatnot, like me and him together. And
so you said mood boards. We've all heard of vision boards. What's the difference between a vision board and a mood board? Is it the same?
For me, it's a little bit of the same. A mood board, and we use it a lot in industry speak, so to speak, about like just the mood of a photo shoot and whatnot. So I kind of take that along with my inspirational boards and just more so put down how I want to feel, the mood of like how I want to feel when I become successful. Not necessarily what I want to do, but how I want to feel. You know?
Great. So I want to ask you specifically a few questions about how you left your job and how you got signed. Tell me about the day you left your job.
Oh, well, the day I left my job, I was basically at a point in my life that I couldn't do what I wanted to do anymore. It was, I had loved marketing, but that path was no longer, or that agency was no longer fulfilling me. And I had already been 3 years into my modeling career.
So while you were at your job, you were taking the photos, you were building your brand.
That was big.
Okay.
That was big. I definitely needed to have an additional, I needed to have that source of income to be able
to invest in yourself.
Yes, to invest myself. I mean, a lot of people don't know that when you're starting off, especially with a model, I mean, your agency is not paying for everything. You're paying for your own photo shoots. You're trying to figure out your look, whether you need to, cut your hair, do some type of transformational process, to yourself to get that right look going, and then really invest in your portfolio.
So you were at this marketing agency. You decide to become a plus size model while there, and for 3 years while being a marketing account manager, as you were also a plus size model, building your brand, building your social media influence, making sure that you have a following, and then you decide to leave.
Yes.
When do you get signed? Before you leave your job or after?
Before.
Okay.
I got signed when I said I was actually starting to model. I modeled about 6 months before I got signed to a New York agency.
Okay.
Which is a pretty short time.
That is pretty short.
But I was really going hard at it.
And were you doing gigs for free? I mean, how did you get your first modeling job?
My first modeling job was in Milwaukee. It was a boutique that's no longer there, but it was called Boutique LaRue. And I was a part of a troupe, kind of a modeling troupe, who knew someone who knew someone. So this woman owned this boutique. I sent her my headshot. I said, I would love to work with you. And then she just said, yes, definitely, I would love for you to model some pieces for the boutique.
And was that job paid?
It wasn't in the beginning, and then it turned into a paid opportunity.
But you were willing to work for free in the beginning?
I was, because I had no experience.
Exactly,
I needed to learn how to pose. I needed to learn how to get in front of that camera and just and understand the business, what it was like to be on a photo shoot. I wanted that experience.
And then you get signed to an agent while still working. How does being signed to an agent impact your modeling career? Not everyone understands that relationship.
It does. It actually, it's easier for when you're with an agent for them to vouch for you, for them to fight for you, for them. I mean, they are.
And they help you book gigs. Is that right?
They do book the gigs for you. They're the ones who are pitching you to these clients. And the great thing about that is that you don't have to do that side of the business. But there are models that don't have agencies that pitch themselves to businesses or to clients and brands. So that's the difference. But then once I got signed to an agency, I couldn't work with kind of the mom and pop brands anymore.
Okay.
Now it was like
larger brands.
Yeah.
So what have been your 2 largest brand relationships to date?
Wow, I feel like they're all so big. I love all of them. I would say JCPenney.
Oh, great.
I do a lot of work with JCPenney. In September, I landed my first commercial with them.
Amazing, congratulations.
It was a national commercial. I was also on all of their campaign mailers, brand catalogs.
That is so great.
I was in store. I worked with a designer called Ashley Nell Tipton, and was one of her first models for her campaign with JCPenney after she won Project Runway. So that was a big
That is huge.
thing.
Congrats.
Thank you. I've done Target. Target has been really good to me. Ashley Stewart, I've been working, actually Ashley Stewart has been one of my longest brands, like my longest clients, to date. They were my very first major client.
Well, that is phenomenal. And I know you've had some obviously great success. You told me earlier it took about 3 years for you to get back to that salary you had as a marketing manager, almost director. But you've put in some work, you've done well. What would you say your biggest struggle has been in being a plus size model?
I think it's that constant reinventing of yourself. You have the models that are like Ashley Graham and, are in the public eye, and you have some that are really behind the scenes making a good amount of money. But what models I feel like are always doing are trying to kind of reinvent themselves and be that fresh face all the time, because as people become more plus acceptant, I feel that more women come into this industry, which is an amazing thing, you know, but it's always trying to keep that, you know, self-awareness and that confidence, because confidence is definitely a daily, it's almost like a daily
It's something you wear. I mean, I'm a big believer in you put on your clothes, you look great, but then you also need to put on your confidence and wear it, and people should see it. And I don't know why, but, you know, obviously you're Puerto Rican, I'm African American, duh. But women sometimes, I just had some woman explain to me that women's confidence level is typically here. And this is how she was explaining me to myself. This is, take this for what you will. She said, typical women's confidence is here. She was like, you're like up here. And she was like, typical black women's confidence is like here. You're like up here. And I was like, well, here's the thing. I think that this doesn't mean that I'm extra. I think it means that we should all level up to up here, and we should wear confidence, and people should know it, because everything in the world may tell you that you're not good enough, but you need to tell yourself something different, and what you tell yourself will sustain you when the world tells you you're not good enough.
I agree 120%, and especially in the modeling industry, what a lot of people don't understand is, like, yes, I might have done JCPenney and Target and Ashley Stewart and Danskin and, you know, all of these other amazing brands, but that doesn't mean I haven't been told no by probably just as many, if not more.
I would guess you've probably gotten 100 no's, if not more.
I have to say that I've gotten, yeah, right around that probably. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't be it, and there's a lot, those reasons that someone would say no to is somebody else's yes.
Absolutely.
So it's like you're always, you know, it all really, really depends. You can be the it girl 1 minute, and then the next minute you kind of have, you know, a couple months of it's kind of not so great.
Well, speaking of being the it girl, your social media is outstanding. You have almost 30,000 followers. How were you able to build that? Because that's something that people, that has power, and it's also something that has monetary value. How were you able to get your social media following so large, and not just have a following, but also have people interact with you and literally want to learn more about Jessica Milagros?
Well, I think it's hard work, first of all. It's not something that, you know, just happened overnight.
Of course.
You're not paid. But it's very hard, because I truly feel that you need to be engaging with absolutely everybody that comes to path in, you know, with your social media.
So you have 30,000 followers, and you're just like engaging with these people.
Well, it's, I do engage. I mostly engage on my own page, and I try.
I like that.
And, you know,
so when people comment, you try to
yeah.
comment. Okay.
And then of course I have, you know, friends that are in the, either in the industry or in other things, and I would say, you know, and I will comment and engage with them. But for the most part, it has a lot to do with the content that I'm putting out. I'm like, I work hard. I'm traveling quite a bit. You know, I travel at least once or twice, you know, a week.
Oh my goodness, that's exhausting.
It can be, but like.
I mean, I travel a decent amount for work, but I remember it being pretty, I mean, you're in and out of hotels, you're on planes, and I just remember being.
Well, you know what? It's like I live in Chicago, so a lot of the opportunities for plus size women are not in Chicago.
Of course.
So when I work in New York, I work in Los Angeles, I work in Texas, I work in pretty much everywhere that is not Chicago.
Okay.
So and that is one thing that I sacrifice, is pretty much the time that I spend in my own home to be able to do something that I love. You know, and I mean, and that's what you need to have. You need to have that drive, and it's not going to be easy.
And so, in terms of revenue, you've been able to get your money back to where it was when you were really successful in corporate America, and you've done it through a lot of different ways. So you are a plus size model, you also do model coaching, you additionally do photography, and then you're a social media influencer and consultant. Having all that going for yourself, and also being a stepmother, you told me earlier, and being a wife, how do you balance it all? And do you have any advice for women just trying to figure out how to go to work and be a wife? I mean, like, how do you juggle everything that you have to do?
You know what? I mean, it's definitely not easy. Sometimes I wonder how I do it.
Yeah.
I take one moment at a time, you know.
I like that.
And I think with having a very supportive, you know, family, with my husband, my daughter, I think the most important thing is that they are on the journey with me. So I like to communicate, sometimes over communicate. So they always know what I'm doing, where I'm at, and if I can bring them in at any point in time, I'll do that as well. That's kind of like one of my main things that I do. But I mean, I say take one step at a time. You know, how, you know, they have that proverb that's how do you eat an elephant? You know, and it says one bite at a time. You know, it's something like that. I kind of just make sure that I tackle what's in front of me and I go on to the next, and I don't overthink it. I think a lot of women, when they see everything coming at them, they just kind of like they're paralyzed, and they're like, okay, and it kind of like prohibits them from kind of taking that next step.
And doing what they have to do to succeed.
They're in their heads way too much. So like I really take it on a surface level, and I keep it going. You know?
I love that, Jessica. I mean, you've given us a lot of gems today. I think that my favorite was be your own motivational speaker. There will be people that, of course, want to keep following you and add to those 30,000 followers you already have.
Oh, please.
How can they get in touch with you? Give us your social media handles, and if you have any speaking engagements coming up, let us know about those as well.
Thank you. Well, you can follow me at Milagros Plus. That's on all of my social media handles, Twitter, Instagram, and my Facebook. You can contact me at jmilagrosplus@gmail.com, ipmmodels.com. That is my my New York agency, my mother agency. So any of those work. Great.
Well, great. And I mean, we're excited to have you on the show, obviously. We're also hoping you can join us for our launch party at Eloquy. This will be a wonderful partnership, and I am just so inspired by you. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. You saw it here first, Jessica Milagros on Passion, Purpose, and Paychecks. Please continue to follow us. Follow me on Instagram at Passion, Purpose, and Paychecks. Head on over to the website, passionpurposeandpaychecks.com, and be on the lookout for our Chicago-based launch party hosted at Eloquy in the Northbridge stores. See you guys soon.